The hidden cost of being good. Why kindness without strength destroys you. You were taught that being good would protect you, that kindness would keep you safe, that generosity would be returned, that, if your intentions were pure, the world would respond in kind. That belief has cost more people their future than failure ever did. Here is the truth most people never hear. Being good does not make you safe. It makes you predictable. Predictability is not virtue. Predictability is exposure. When you are always kind, people learn what to expect from you. They learn you will bend. They learn you will forgive. They learn you will carry weight that is not yours. And once people learn that, they stop respecting you. They start using you. This is not because people are evil. It is because power follows boundaries, not intentions. You can have the purest heart in the room and still be the first one ignored. You can give endlessly and still be the first one discarded. You can sacrifice everything and still be replaced without hesitation. Goodness, when used blindly, does not elevate you. It strips you of leverage. And leverage is what keeps you standing when the pressure arrives. Most people confuse goodness with safety. They think if they are agreeable enough, helpful enough, patient enough, they will be spared conflict. But conflict is not avoided by goodness. It is managed by strength. The world does not reward those who mean well. It rewards those who know when to stand firm, when to withhold, and when to act decisively. This is not a call to cruelty. It is a warning about weakness disguised as virtue. If you give without limits, you will be emptied. If you forgive without boundaries, you will be repeated against. If you lead with softness alone, you will be overruled. In the next moments, you will see why kindness without strength quietly destroys authority. Why generosity becomes a trap, and how to transform goodness from something that drains you into something that protects you. Because in a world that tests you relentlessly, being good is not enough. You must be strategic. Chapter 1. When goodness becomes exposure. Most people believe goodness creates safety. It doesn't. It creates access. Access to your time, access to your energy, access to your patience. And when access has no limits, respect begins to erode. Look at the kindest person you know, dependable, understanding, always available. Now answer this honestly. Are they protected, or are they simply used? Goodness without boundaries does not signal virtue. It signals availability. When you are always willing, people stop valuing your effort. When you are always understanding, people stop taking responsibility. When you are always forgiving, people stop correcting themselves. Your behavior teaches people how to treat you. And if what you teach them is that you will absorb discomfort silently, they will let you. Respect requires the possibility of loss. If nothing is lost when someone crosses you, there is no reason not to cross you. This is where good people lose themselves. They believe patience will be noticed, that endurance will be rewarded. But endurance without leverage proves only one thing: that you can be endured. In work, this law is obvious. The person who always stays late becomes invisible. Staying late stops being excellence. It becomes expectation. And the first time they leave on time, they are questioned. The same law governs relationships. If you always compromise, compromise becomes assumed. If you always adapt, adaptation becomes demanded. And when you finally draw a line, You are accused of changing, but you did not change. You stopped overgiving. Here is the uncomfortable truth. People do not respond to goodness. They respond to consequences. If your kindness has no cost when violated, it will be violated. If your presence has no limits, it will be consumed. This is not cruelty, it is human nature. Predictability removes caution, and caution preserves respect. When people know you will always say yes, they stop asking carefully. When they know you will forgive instantly, they stop self-correcting. When they know you will carry the weight, they stop carrying it themselves. Your goodness becomes exposure. Pressure reveals structure. And goodness without structure collapses under strain. That is why good people don't just get tired. They leak time into obligations that give nothing back. Energy into people who never reciprocate. Strength seals those leaks. Not aggression, not cruelty. Strength. Strength is saying no without guilt. Disappointing without self-betrayal. Letting others carry the weight of their choices. If you do not define the limits of your generosity, others will. And they will always define them in their favor. In the next chapter, you will see why generosity without limits does not create loyalty. It creates dependency. Chapter 2. Why generosity becomes a trap. Generosity feels powerful at first. You give, people smile, they praise you, they call you kind. For a moment, it feels like influence. But that feeling doesn't last. Because generosity follows a law most people never see. The more consistently you give, the less valuable your giving becomes. Generosity creates appreciation once. After that, it creates expectation. Help someone once, and they are grateful. Help them twice, and they are thankful. Help them often enough, and they stop noticing. What once felt like a gift becomes normal. What once felt generous becomes assumed. And the moment you stop, you are no longer kind. You are selfish. This is not ingratitude. It is psychological adaptation. Human beings adjust quickly to comfort. We normalize support. We recalibrate expectations. And once something feels normal, we stop valuing it. That is why repeated generosity loses power. Not because it is wrong, but because it becomes invisible. Think about the person who always pays, always helps, always shows up. At first, they are appreciated. Later, they are expected. Eventually, they are relied upon. And reliance is not respect. Reliance creates dependency. Dependency creates entitlement, and entitlement always turns into resentment. When you give without limits, people do not feel supported. They feel owed. If you ever say no, they do not remember the many times you said yes. They remember only the refusal. In work, this plays out brutally. If you always stay late, staying late becomes your baseline. No one thanks you anymore. But leave on time once, and your commitment is questioned. In friendships, the pattern is the same. You always help, always listen, always accommodate. When you finally need something in return, they are suddenly busy. And you wonder why. Because generosity without structure does not build loyalty. It builds addiction. People become accustomed to what you provide. And like any dependency, they become frustrated when the supply slows. This is the generosity trap. You give until giving becomes your identity. And once it is your identity, you are punished for stopping. The more you give freely, the more people assume your giving costs you nothing. They do not see the energy it drains, the time it consumes, the opportunities it delays. So they ask again, and again, and again, until one day you are exhausted and quietly resentful, not because you are unkind, but because you were never strategic. Scarcity creates value. Abundance destroys it. This is why selective generosity is more powerful than constant generosity. When help is rare, it is remembered. When access is limited, it is respected. The most effective people do not help everyone a little. They help the right people meaningfully. They choose when to give. They choose how much to give. And they choose when not to. That choice is what preserves power. If your generosity is automatic, it will be exploited. If it is intentional, it will be valued. In the next chapter, you will see why appearance matters more than intention, and why those who understand perception control outcomes, even when reality is uncomfortable. Chapter 3. The Illusion of Virtue. Most people believe the world rewards what you are. It doesn't. It rewards what you appear to be. This is uncomfortable to accept, but it governs every environment where power, trust, and influence exist. People do not live inside your intentions. They live inside their perceptions. Perception is not secondary to reality. It becomes reality. You can be genuinely good and still be treated as weak. You can act with integrity and still be overlooked. You can sacrifice quietly and still be replaced. Because virtue that is unseen has no leverage. This is where many well-intentioned people fail. They believe that being good is enough, that their character will eventually speak for itself. But character does not speak. Behavior does. And behavior is interpreted, not felt. Look at how authority actually functions. Those who hold influence understand timing. They understand restraint. They understand when to show warmth and when to show force. They do not display their softness indiscriminately. They appear calm in public, decisive in private, measured when observed, unyielding when tested. This is not deception. It is control. Think about leadership for a moment. A leader who only comforts loses authority. A leader who only punishes loses loyalty. The effective leader understands balance. They allow compassion to be seen, but they make strength felt. Virtue without presence is ignored. Strength without restraint is feared. And fear without respect collapses just as fast. Most people get this backwards. They show their softness to those who would exploit it, and their strength to those who already trust them. This is why they feel constantly exposed. The appearance of virtue is not about pretending. It is about sequence. There are moments when kindness must be visible, and moments when firmness must be unmistakable. A parent who never disciplines loses control. A parent who only disciplines loses connection. The same law applies everywhere else in life. Real authority is quiet. It does not beg to be liked. It does not explain itself endlessly. It does not collapse under pressure. It holds its ground. When people perceive you as weak, they test you. When they perceive you as strong, they approach with caution. Caution is respect's foundation. This is why appearance matters. Not because image is everything, but because image determines how people engage with you. If they see you as endlessly forgiving, they risk nothing by crossing you. If they see you as composed but firm, they think twice. And thinking twice changes behavior. You do not need to advertise toughness. You need to make it believable. You do not need to announce boundaries. You need to enforce them once. After that, the signal is sent. Strength, when displayed correctly, reduces conflict rather than creating it. Because people adjust to what they believe will cost them. In the next chapter, you will see how power is governed by resources, and why those who do not protect their time, energy, and focus eventually lose the ability to choose at all. Chapter 4. The Economics of Power. Every action has a cost. Every yes, every favor, every moment of attention you give away. Most people never calculate this. They give instinctively, emotionally, reflexively, and over time, they lose something they cannot replace. Control. Power is governed by resources, and the most valuable resources you have are time, energy, and focus. They are finite. Once spent, they do not return. When you give them away without intention, you weaken your position in every area of life. Good people struggle here the most. They feel guilty protecting themselves. They believe saying no is selfish. They confuse restraint with cruelty. But restraint is not cruelty. It is sustainability. Think about what happens when you never protect your resources. You become exhausted, resentful, scattered, and eventually ineffective. You cannot lead when you are depleted. You cannot create when you are drained. You cannot help when you are barely surviving yourself. This is why so many well-meaning people burn out quietly. They did not fail because they lacked character. They failed because they lacked boundaries. Consider the simplest rule of survival. You secure yourself first, or you become another liability. This is not ideology. It is mathematics. If you exhaust your energy helping others, you eventually need help yourself. If you delay your goals to accommodate everyone else, you arrive nowhere. Unlimited availability produces limited impact. When people know they can access you at any time, your time loses value. When people know you will respond instantly, your attention becomes cheap. When people know you will always adjust, your priorities disappear. This is why disciplined people appear distant. Not because they lack care, but because they understand cost. They guard their hours. They protect their focus. They choose their commitments carefully, not to be superior, but to remain effective. Saying no is not rejection. It is direction. Every no is a yes to something else, to your work, to your growth, to your future. And every yes given blindly is a no to yourself. This is the truth most people avoid. When you say yes to everyone, you abandon your own life, not immediately, but gradually, opportunity by opportunity, hour by hour. Power is not loud. It is structured. It flows toward those who can decide, and away from those who are always reacting. If you want control over outcomes, you must first control access to yourself. This is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming intentional. Strength begins when you stop leaking resources into places that produce no return. Because without resources, you have no leverage. And without leverage, you have no choice. In the next section, we will integrate what you've learned and close this with the one decision that determines whether goodness destroys you or becomes your greatest strength. What have we learned? You were never weak because you were good. You were vulnerable because your goodness had no structure. Goodness without boundaries became exposure. Generosity without intention became a trap. Virtue without presence became invisible. And resources without protection slowly drained your power. This was never a morality problem. It was a strategy problem. You saw that people do not respond to intentions. They respond to consequences. They do not respect availability. They respect limits. You learned that predictability invites exploitation, that unlimited giving erases value, that appearing virtuous without strength invites testing, and that power is always governed by time, energy, and focus. Most importantly, you saw the distinction that changes everything. Being nice is not the same as being good. Nice avoids discomfort. Good creates outcomes. Goodness that produces no results is not goodness. It is self-erasure. Real goodness requires strength. Strength to say no without guilt. Strength to disappoint without collapsing. Strength to let others carry the weight of their own choices. When strength leads, goodness becomes effective. When goodness leads alone, it becomes destructive. You do not need to abandon kindness. You need to command it. Used strategically, goodness becomes selective, focused, memorable, respected. It stops leaking. It stops being consumed. It starts shaping outcomes. This is how goodness survives in a competitive world, not by being loud, not by being endless, but by being deliberate. You now understand the cost of blind goodness, and you understand the power of disciplined virtue. What you do next determines everything. Will you continue giving without limits until nothing remains? Or will you choose to be strong enough to be good when it actually matters? Goodness without strategy destroys you. Goodness with strength builds legacy. Thank you for watching. If this message sharpened how you see yourself and the world, carry it forward. Protect your energy. Choose your generosity. Guard your time. And remember this, in a world that tests you relentlessly, goodness is not your weakness. When mastered, it is your greatest strength.